Welcome to Hip Hop Here, or welcome to Hip Hop Here. My name is Nadia and I'll be your host. But before we continue with this video, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to hit the bell notification button. Let's get to it. Can you please introduce yourself?
I'm Elder Mike van der Roy, the chairman of the Elders Council of the Mitchells Plain Aboriginal KOISAN Council, who is affiliated to the Western Cape Aboriginal Governance Council. It is an organization, you can call it an organization for a better word, that deals with the liberation of the Aboriginal nation. Yeah, big and that.
Can you tell me more about what it is that you do?
We are busy with the objective of the organization is to liberate the so-called colored people, and to make them understand so that they can make the paradigm shift from colored to Khoisan or colored to Aboriginal. Because this is who the colored people are, and this is our objective. Our purpose is to create the paradigm shift from colored to Khoisan, colored to Aboriginal First Nation. That's our status.
Nice. What do you think about colors that are so in denial of the Khoisan and where they really come from?
We must understand that the amount of psychological warfare that our people were subjected to over the last 400 years is the reason why we were made to believe that we are nothing else but colored, which is a very derogatory term. So for us to expect people to just make the paradigm shift, it won't work. We need to have an awareness campaign regarding the issue of how and when they were made colored. We weren't born colored.
Yeah.
And what you must understand is the narrative that is now being pushed upon us to accept the fact that we are colored, it's a couple of 100 years. And our people that came through this psychological war, a system that made them believe and accept that to be poor is okay. Now to accept, for them to accept to be poor is okay, one need to understand why they accept to be poor is okay. It is the fact that they have been made to believe that they are colors which are subservient to any other race within the concept of Africa. But that is not true. Colored people are basically, they've been classified as colored. They've been reclassified as colored in 1950. Now, our children that were born after 1950, none of them will be able to understand why they are called colored. We were made to believe that the colors come from whites and blacks, which is the most laughable thing for us to accept, but they made us accept that. And it is my duty, our duty to create a paradigm shift, to inform people, to make them aware as to who they truly are. Because if I know my confidant, where I come from, I then automatically will understand that I am not just a something. I am created into the image and likeness of God. So by accepting that, I then are equal to anyone and everyone that come into my space. So I don't need to be subservient. But now you see the color term is so derogatory that for us to make the people understand, we need to take the people through a process. And the process is that wherever you get amongst each other, wherever awareness campaigns has been done, and we are doing a fairly amount of big awareness campaigns in terms of the Mitchells Plain alone. We've taken land in Mitchells Plain, for that matter, not based on the colored terminology but we took it because we understand who we are.
Yeah.
We are the First Nation, we are the owners of the land. And they made us colors in 1950 to remove us as owners of the land. And our children doesn't know this. That is why they become subjects to drug addiction, gender-based violence, gangsterism, and this is what the system created. At the moment, you don't find backyard dwellers to the extreme as to where you find it in colored communities. Let me just explain, for instance, if a backyard dweller contingent of about between 30 and 60,000. In Mitchell's Plain alone, we have about between 30 and 60,000 backyard dwellers. Now, if one understands why the backyard dweller issue is not being addressed by the government, especially the DA government, who is currently the leading political party within the government. They are not the government, I must correct this. They are but the leading political party within the government. The government consists of all the political parties that is currently within the Cape Town legislature. They form the government, which is your NCC, PA, whoever is part of the government, they form the government. But the political party that leads this government is the DA. But they in itself do not fulfill the obligation, a constitutional obligation, in terms of providing decent housing, quality living conditions, create an environment which is suitable and conducive for us to develop economically. This has never been implemented or given to the colored people, because the objective is to keep them within this colored constraint.
Yeah.
I like to say the words like this. The term colored is a curse. That is why I refer to gangsterism, drug addiction. You only find that amongst the colored people into the extreme. And our duty is to change that, which the government is failing to do. I'm talking about 60,000 backyard dwellers. Now look at the life of a backyard dweller child. This child grew up in this house for 15 years, in the yard of someone else. Now, this boy and girl grew up with a family. They saw what transpired within that one room environment which they find themselves in. They saw what mom and dad does. And because mom and dad does this, when dad tell mommy to come, mommy don't object, she just goes. And then these children grew up within this environment, but at the same time, the daughter, when she is confronted by a boy older than her, she automatically do what mom does. Mom didn't object, so I'm not going to object. But this child is now in high school, and automatically you find this is where teenage pregnancy comes in the life of a backyard dweller child. The same with the boy. He goes to high school, see a girl under the stairs, touch her, and they found him. They caught him. He's being expelled. He just did what his father did to his mother. And this is what the system encourages to happen. And there this boy gets expelled and is now subject and is a target for gangsterism, drug running and drug addiction. And they also grew up in this environment of gender-based violence. The reason why my mother didn't talk back was because she knew that she can't afford to have daddy anger, because it's going to be something that falls on her. Gender-based violence and drug addiction and gangsterism is the breeding ground. The breeding ground for that is the backyard dweller issue. And you only find them in the colored concept. You find it in Google in other areas, but their tradition and cultures is the reason why it is not so prevalent as it is within our society. It's part of a system to keep our colored people enslaved. And this is our objective, to break down these barriers, these misconceptions, and the system that is encouraging our children. In fact, when you look at gangsterism in itself, our future is our youth. And our future is being demolished. Here you find guns getting lost in a police station, where it's supposed to be safe. Where did the guns go to? It went to the gangsters. And those gangsters are our children. You know, you find a situation where two boys that went to school together, eat from each other's houses after school, is now killing each other. Because of the system that is being forced upon our people. And it's our duty as the Aboriginal Liberation Movement to break down these shackles which our people find themselves in.
Okay, and can you tell me more about what it is that you do?
Our primary objective is our identity. Our identity and our language. Because without language, there's no identity. um, and our heritage and the true history of our people. That must come back into our colored communities. You understand? It must go to our schools, where our children can be taught in our language. If I'm going to use our language, if I'm going to ask you, how are you? I'm going to ask you, Matisa. And you're going to ask me, Matisa, again, I would answer you like this. It's our language. It's our language. We have a language. You see, and because we have a language, we also have an identity. And our identity is First Nation. That's our status. Right? So, if we have status, we can then claim title to the status. If my status is Aboriginal, then I can also claim Aboriginal title to my status and my land. And this is what we are dealing with. We are continuously making people aware of who they are, the wealth that they had, which is still there. You understand? There's various organizations currently within the Aboriginal Liberation Movement that is dealing with equality court cases. We have people dealing with trust and trust land. It's all the same objective is to make our people, to free our people from the imagine we were owners of the land, today we are slaves on the land which we owned, and this is what must stop. You see, this is what must stop. We are currently busy organizing an event. It's called the Liberation March, and that Liberation March objective is to change the government after Western Cape, because there is no political dispensation for us. That is why we encourage our people not to vote, because we must understand, if we do vote, what the implications is of us voting. And I like to use the example, when the land was taken, when the colonialists came first under the auspices of the VOC, and then they came afterwards with the BOC, which is the British. So the Dutch started this thing, and then the British continued. So what they did was, they asked the British at one stage, how come that you say this land is yours? That you are in possession of this land? And they said, these people are not intellectually capable of running their land, their lives, and their resources. And what they meant was that because they found papers with X's on, and the X automatically, you remember if you're educated, how do you sign your name?
Yeah.
It's for an X. So that X was then transferred and developed into a political system, of which today, when political parties come to you and they ask you for your X on a ballot paper, you know what you are doing? You're basically giving your right away and admitting that I am not intellectually capable of running my life, my land, and my resources. Therefore now I bestow that right and authority to you to do it on my behalf. That is the danger that we try to break down and say, people, don't vote. Keep your power. Because there is something that can be done in terms of the liberation of the colored people. And the thing is, it's called people's power. Now people's power is going to be used to change this government. If on the 26th of April we have about 10,000 people in Cape Town, we will change that government and install an Aboriginal government the very same day.
Okay, it sounds really nice. What's the purpose? Okay, you basically answered what the purpose is of what you do.
The purpose is to get whatever belongs to us back. To get our rightful place back within society, within South Africa and within the world. That have been denied us over 430 years. And it is now our time as so-called colored people. A colored person owns nothing. Because the term colored means non-human. That's what the term colored means. It means non-human. You are not human being, you are an entity. You see, so that is why they do to us what they do to us, because we are non-human. In 1878, we were classified as vermin. Afrikaans betekent gemors. You see, so we must understand the processes of how it became. that we are today called colored. Let me go take you through that. And I'm not going to use the shameful history where Mama and Titi was raped and murdered. I'm just going to touch on it based on the fact that for these farms that they own today, there's massive pieces of land. How they got that land was based on the amount of trophies that they would bring after the hunts that they performed on our people. Now the trophies is the heads of our fathers. Those heads were brought in as trophies, and the breast of our mothers were cut off as part of being trophies, and afterwards, after it's been counted, it's been given back to them and they make tobacco pouches out of that. This is how the people got the land which they call farms. And this we must get back. It belongs to us, our ancestors. And it's not a lie. History will tell you that the last hunting permit was issued in 1936.
I'm sorry, who constructed this hunting process?
The whole process was constructed by, when they found us here, they did not accept us as being human. Therefore they declared us as vermin. Right?
Who is they?
The Dutch,
Okay.
the colonialists, the Dutch colonialists. And it was continued by the British colonialists when they came with the imperialists. So they never accept us as human. So they were sent out to Europe. Europe could not sustain itself. Europe didn't have resources. So when Van Riebeeck and them came here, in the Almeida, they came here under the auspices to advance capitalism. To advance capitalism. Because they now go seek for land and resources. And that is how they came here. The lie of 1652 is very obvious. They say that Van Riebeeck came here in 1652, but he didn't come here in 52. He came in 1647. And he started the farms within South Africa, in Constantia, for the wine and whatever they need as so-called European people. And that was part of an engagement, a business engagement with the KOISAN. But prior to Van Riebeeck coming here, our Cape Town was the halfway house. There was 1,340 ships that come here to trade every year. Every year for 60 years they did it. So the thing that the wind blew in here and the Cape of Storms overpowered them, it is a lie. They came here distinctly and with the objective to advance capitalism. So we understand. In 1936, in 1898, they start with the dismantling of our indigenous names like the Bushman, the Hottentot, the Khoi, the San, the Kurana, etc. They broke that down because our language already were broken down, were removed. Just prior to that. So when our language was removed, the next phase was to remove our identity. Let me give you an example of how our language was removed. See, the children have 4 teeth out. Right. Today that's a fashion statement. But as part of the same process that we use as trophies, the same processes. One of those processes to remove the language was the heating out of the front teeth. The heating out the stones of the front teeth. So that we cannot pronounce our clicks. We had 4 clicks, 5 clicks basically. Right? You need to have your teeth to pronounce the clicks. And they remove that so that you cannot be able to speak your language properly as it should be done. And then a ban must put on us for speaking our language. Our children were not allowed to go to school, our children were not allowed to speak the language. And this is part of the painful and shameful process that we came through. But I want to bring it back. In 1936, when they issued out the last hunting permit, that's 80 years ago. I called it yesterday. And it failed. It failed like the other genocidal processes that they have been busy with, it's failed. We have never been extinct. That's the thing. We've never been extinct. So what they did with the hunting permit is try to at least try to extinct us. Because now we are the VOC trying it, and we have the British trying it, and now the descendants of the Dutch, which is now called Boer, the Boeren, right? They are now continued with it. And they have now started a political system under the auspices of the National Party, and we call it apartheid. And they decided that it failed again. It didn't work. It could not extinct these people. So they came to this thing. And here is what I want our colored people to understand. They reclassified us 14 years after the issuing of the last hunting permit. So in 1950, they reclassified us as coloreds, thus performing the perfect genocide on a nation by reclassifying them, changing their confidence, changing the language has gone. It's a whole process that evolved until the time of them perfecting a legislative genocide on our people. Yeah.
Sure. It's deep.
It's deep.
And what is the future of the colored people from South Africa?
Yeah. If we don't do what we're supposed to do, if we don't concentrate, if each one doesn't teach one, our future is extremely bleak. In fact, after this next election, what is currently happening, you must understand. I've been in court for 2 land reclaiming processes, and I've won both cases. The land which they charged us for, they called it land invasion, was from Sunrise Circle right through to Makassar, and the entire Mitchell's Plain and the entire Strandfontein. Because we put people on a piece of land in Strandfontein. So we tested the system because we had a bigger plan within the system, you see. And while this cases were still in court, the DA government sold the land for which we are still in court. The False Coast. We must understand why they're doing it. We are sitting with the Zionist government. There's our so-called colored leadership of councillors, etc. That's basically cannon fodder. But we are sitting with a Zionist government, Helen Zille, a Jew. Dorsten is a Jew. Aaron Windy, a Jew. Jordan Lewis, a Jew. J.P. Smith, a Jew. And that's a Zionist government which is currently controlling the Western Cape. And I have information and proof that they are currently busy bringing people from Gauteng and wherever, even from Israel, to come and live within the Western Cape, but especially Cape Town. And the land that was sold to Jewish developers, the objective of that is to create a Zionist state. Now, the areas that I've mentioned, who lives in those areas? Colored people, so-called colored people. Colored people who have a backlog of 60,000 backyard dwellers in Mitchell's Plain alone, lives in those areas, need the land, which is now being sold to developers. You see, we must understand, all these farms, which is currently trust land, where they build smart cities on. And what happens is, the farmer just take another piece of land at the back. But at the same time, they are putting out people from the farms, evicting people from the farms, colored people, who have been part of that environment for 50, 60, 70 years. Some of them have been born, he's 70 years old today, he's been born on that farm. So that means his mother and father were working on that farm. And And the whole system is developed to keep us enslaved. We also have the issue of gang terrorism and drug addiction is not something new. It's part of a system created by the government. Because here we sit, look at the town centre by us. Drugs are being sold by foreigners legally. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission had Professor Wouter Basson admitting there that Mandrix was created to enslave the colored population. It was admitted. The man is still outside there, he's still doing what he's doing. But and my concern was, how can the Truth and Reconciliation Commission allow